Good evening, Lion Golf Academy members and guests, and welcome to episode 8 of our golf experiment to see if we can change a person's swing through weekly YouTube diagnosis. Today we have Harrison and Philip in what will be their final week to work on their motions, as we will unveil all 4 of our volunteers in a few weeks' time, and we'll compare their first and last submissions to see if we made a difference. I have also asked them to submit their feedback on this journey to see if it worked or made things worse. So, if you have not subscribed to us yet, please do, as your support helps us support the Heal the Hood Foundation in South Africa to get young children into golf. And also, if you like this at any time, please share, like, or comment, as it greatly helps our cause. But enough of that flip-flap. Let's get ready for episode 8. Welcome back, Lion Golf Academy members and guests, and I apologize for being away for the past couple of weeks, but I've been dealing with a little bit of an illness, but I'm all good to go. So let's see who Philip brought today. Let's take a look at your setup. So your setup is looking much more relaxed, you look more athletic, it looks more balanced. So if we draw a line straight from the center of your heels up to the sky, we can see it is going right through those intersecting lines, which means you are connected and balanced and ready to just turn and use your motions correctly without fighting. Staying balanced. Right side of the screen, we can see that ball position. I'd like to see it a little bit more out in front here, because you have proven in the past that you can turn and tilt when you need to. And typically when you have the ball in the center, that's for somebody that has a hard time turning and tilting or has exceptional release points with their hands and arms. But in order to do that, you have to have really good timing, and that is hard to develop on a consistent basis. So just from this point of view, let's get that ball position even more out there. I know it feels very weird, but you got to put yourself past your point of being comfortable. We have to push ourselves to a new realm. So even if you come back on your final submission, have that ball outside your left foot, hey, to me that's change, and it's something we can address later, but always push that comfort level. Let's take a look at that backswing motion and that first move back. We can see those hands are doing a much better job of going in that lower plane line. Club is slightly below that, but let's take a look at why. So this is one of those things I had challenged you on our last video. We can see those left shoulder is definitely moving down, which is good. That's the right direction. But in order to get to that top plane position correctly and get your hands to that secondary line, which is this line up here, your shoulders have to be perpendicular to your spine angle. So we're going to leave your shoulder tilt there and see where it gets to at the top of your swing to see if you do increase it at some point. But if you can get that left shoulder to go down further, that would be even better, because that just raises your hands higher. It'll also assist in your club head motion. But all in all, you're still in your spine angle, you're still in your posture, you haven't broken away from anything. So other than that little tilting issue, let's take a look at the right side of the screen and see what we have here. So right side of the screen, let's get that club in the same position where it's parallel to the ground. We see right there, and much wider, we can see how we have some nice width going on here. So if I draw a line from where the butt of the club is to your body, we can see some width developing. We can also see, however, that your body is moving to that right side, our left, your right. And if we keep continuing, we can see how much you have moved your body over. Now, 2 things could be happening. Is number one is you need to get the weight distributed to the right side, and I understand that, but we don't want to get the lower body to break away from that right brace line. You want to feel like your lower body is twisting and turning. You want to see some spacing between this top of the line here and your right hip. That means you are turning as opposed to sliding. But the main culprit for this is, I believe, that ball position. If I draw a line straight up to that sky, we can see now your whole body is behind the ball position. So I think your subconscious is figuring out, I need to get my whole body to the right side of the golf ball so I can move into it and get some energy from my body through the ball. And that's okay, but we don't need that lower body over. So I think the ball position change will alleviate the lower body and the upper body moving to the right side. And then your in-swing thought process is just to think about that right hip moving towards the target. So like I'm there, I'm going to grab your pocket. I'm just going to grab your pocket and move it towards the target instead of away from the target. But in terms of your turn, look at how much shoulder turn you have. You have a lot of shoulder turn going on here, and your club shaft in relation to that shoulder turn is pretty correct. It's right on there. So in terms of being connected, you're definitely more connected. We see some great things happening. Okay, let's take it to the midway point back, and we can see how your arms now are getting much higher, which is beautiful. Let's take a look at that shoulder tilt. It's still remained the same from that initial first half of your swing. So a couple things we can do to help you is we would like our shoulder tilt in a perfect world to be right about there. So you can see how much more that left shoulder has to go down, which will in turn raise your hands a little bit higher. It'll reach that top plane line pretty straight. Another way you can do it is to stand a little taller at address, so then you're perpendicular. These are some of the things we have to kind of tinker with as we develop your swing, but all in all, much better. Hands are getting much higher, and from here we just drop it down the slot. So let me clean these lines and we'll see if we drop it down the slot. Let's take a look at where your triangle is, and this will help decide where those hands are going to come down through to the plane. So the center, it might be a little low, and that's going to be some issues. So you're going to have to figure out, how do we get the hands to reach that lower plane line a little sooner, because don't think you're physically possible to get them down there, because you'll hit the ground in the concrete. So we'll see what type of things you start to change based on that top position. And it's important, because if you can get those hands a little bit higher, that's going to tilt your triangle slightly more down, and then this is where your new hand path would be. So this is why it's important to get those hands a little bit higher based on your setup, because you want them to be down in that lower plane line sooner. But let's take a look at your first one. As we come on down through, you can see your hands now pace to do it. But if you do this, there's no way to strike that golf ball, so you start to stand up and into the golf ball, and this is going to push your hands out and away. And when your hands go out and away, they also go slightly up, because we're standing up, we're losing posture. You can see your new postures up here, and when that happens, a counteractive force occurs on your club head. So you can see back here, your club head was relatively straight to the golf ball. As we come on through, now you can see the club head is falling below your hands to get to that lower plane line. So this is one of those compensatory motions you are starting to figure out on your own to actually strike the golf ball. But in order to cure that, a couple of those things in your address should change, and also the first third of your golf swing, which is your left shoulder, a little bit lower. Do a really good job recovering at impact. You can see how much you have lost, so that we've lost a lot of gain here, and you're standing up with some blocks, with some slices, and also you can start to overcompensate with your hands and pull it back online, so you can still see there's a little bit left in you. Right side of the screen. So in terms of getting your weight on your left side, you do a fantastic job. You can see at impact, everything's meeting that impact line. Definitely increasing your tilt. Your hands are connected to the center of the shoulders, and we come on through, so we can see there's less chicken wing going on here, because we're increasing the rotation and the drive. Look at that right foot pushing all that weight through your left hip. You come on up and you're met on that left impact line. So all in all, Philip, I think you're doing a fantastic job. You made some great changes. Forgive all those lines on the left side, but hopefully this all made sense to you. So for your final submission, change those shoulders or stand a little bit taller and keep the shoulders, but think about your weight going towards the left side of your target. I'm going to draw a nice big arrow many times. That's where your weight should feel like it's pushing when you strike the golf ball, which will help you maintain that posture. So you're up against this line here, and I'm just going to keep drawing until this computer system crashes. Actually, that's not a good idea. All right, hopefully that helps you make those changes. I look forward to seeing you next submission. Let's see who is next. All right, welcome back. Next on the screen, we have Harrison. Now, first of all, let me apologize for these ridiculously wide lines, but I'm not the best when it comes to dealing with the software, and for some reason it likes to draw these lines bigger than they're supposed to be, so forgive me if you look like you belong in Minecraft. This is the second time I've done this video. The first time I had the wrong microphone on, and it sounded like I was speaking from the bat cave, so you gotta bear with me. 2 weeks off throws everything off. Let's take a look at your setup so we can see your setup. I think you might be a little bit more over than you need to be. This is a lot of angle to take, and the only reason why I say that is because at the top of your swing, based on this angle, your shoulders need to be dipping down about that much. Now, some people could do it, but I'm going to leave that line there to see where your shoulders get in relation to that spine angle. And we'll see if we have to address this. But overall, the center of your heels, let's see where they're supporting. They're supporting right in that intersecting line. So you look pretty balanced. Right side of the screen, let's take a look at your setup. I think you are setting up a little bit too much on your left side in terms of your weighting. It looks like it's more than 75% on that left side. And it's okay if you want to do stack and tilt, but we're not trying to do stack and tilt here. So let's get you to be a little bit more centered. And you do a move at impact, which will show you why this is occurring. And we're going to keep a very close eye in the relation between your ball position now to where it is as you strike the ball. And this is why you have to be careful of your left lean. And I think it all stems from too much weight on your left side. But let's take a look at the backswing, left side of the screen. We're going to take this club back and see how close it gets. Look at that. That is just perfect. Club head is matching your spine angle. You can see your left shoulder is dipping down correctly. As you get to the top of the swing, though, you can see that left shoulder starts to level out slightly. And I think your body's just saying, hey, look, man, there's no way I can keep that left shoulder tilt while I'm trying to increase my turn. So your left shoulder tilt is slightly flatter than where it needs to be. So if you're okay with this, it looks like you've ingrained it pretty well. Your downswing is phenomenal. Biggest change I've seen yet out of all the submissions. Let's just keep it like this and see if you can ingrain it. So give me the feedback, how you feel for your next submission. Right side of the screen, let's take a look at you taking that club back. Plenty of width. We can see plenty of daylight between your hands and the butt of the club at midway point. We can see that right hip just spinning beautifully. Top of the swing. I know this looks like the club is very flat, but that's because it is a very low angle. We have a worm view here, and it's like we're little worms looking up at you. So of course that club's going to be very low, but I assume it's going to be pretty perfect because if you look at your hand height, it's above your head. So if this was hip height with the camera, we'd see the hand above the head. So everything's looking good. You're not going past parallel. It's related to your turn. However, you can see you're stacked on that left side, and this will play a part when you take that first move down. Left side of the screen, let's draw our little triangle here and see where our hands need to go right through that center, and this is where you are going to probably get your hands down to that lower plane line. But the key is can you change the angle of your club with your shoulders to allow it to match that lower plane line? Let's take a look at your first move. We can see that club is going to dip straight down. Beautifully done. And now you've altered the path of your hands. They're coming down a little bit sooner. So do you meet? Yes, you do. Look at that. It goes right where that star is. And look at the club. It's just running right down that lower plane line. This is phenomenal, Harrison. So that is beautiful. Right side of the screen. Let's look at your first move. So we see the first move on the right side of the screen. We can see you get into that left impact line. However, we can see a little bit more than we need to over that impact line. And as a result, we can see most of the body weight is ahead of the golf ball, but look at where that golf ball is related to your upper body. It is creeping on the right side. Your shoulders are trying to tilt and turn, but the hands are behind the game. They should be more in the center out over here, but they can't be because that golf ball has moved back. Now remember, everybody at home, when you release the club, your hand speed has to slow down to transfer that energy from your wrists to the golf ball. You cannot keep your hand speed moving forward at the same speed when you release. It is virtually impossible. I've only seen one person get close to do it, and his name is Rory McIlroy. So you want to help yourself out at all times. So for you, need to start more centered in terms of your balance. If you want to get left side, that's okay. 55% at the most. Once you get through impact past, you can see your hands are trying to play catch up, but they're already matching your right forearm slightly past impact. But then take a look at this. Now you turn through. So you have it in you. The motions are there. As you strike that golf ball and come up, you can see you get to that left impact line perfectly. So I think it's just a matter of you setting up and getting used to you being behind the ball a little bit more than you're used to. Right, left side of the screen, let's take a look at you come on through. That club's working its way magically down that path. We can see the ball flights pretty straight in relative to your target. Club face is coming out. Look at that. Club face is perfect. It's slowly releasing. You can see the path is matching these two lines right in between them, and the hand path is still finishing relatively high. So you can see it's not as high as it should be, but that's again because of the flattening of your shoulders at the top of your swing. But all in all, I think this is a huge improvement. If you go back a couple of submissions, you can see he had a big plane issue on the way down. So kudos. Congratulations, both of you. Can't wait to see your next submission for our final evaluation with you in 2 weeks when we have everybody on and we look at their before and after, and I give you my feedback on if this is a waste of time or if this is good for some of you. Hope that helps you. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Thanks for the support, everybody. Fairways and greens.